MMA Now, powered by Film On TV Network.
I'm David Kano, and welcome to Film On TV's MMA Now, brought to you by Gustoso Aguardiente Artisanal Rum. Live life with passion, live life with Gustoso. And we're here at the fight capital of the world at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada for UFC 196, where we saw some huge upsets. And right now, I'm joined with MMA Now correspondent Ryan Shepard. Ryan, how you doing?
Good, David. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. It was a great night of fights, a crazy card, something that we've never seen before, and perhaps it could be the biggest pay-per-view in UFC history, as what Dana White had said right before he left the press conference.
Yeah, I mean, he said it's a groundbreaking night for the UFC. I don't know if attendance, if all he was talking about could have been coupled with money. We haven't got those final numbers yet, but yeah, definitely something they're going to be looking for.
Right, and those numbers won't roll in until a couple weeks later. But let's get right to the main event: Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. This was a matchup where Diaz was up to a 5-1 underdog in some places, and he almost broke even closer to fight time. Yesterday, we had on Ruthless Rudy Morales, where Rudy actually thought Diaz would take it, even though he said it was a pick-em fight. I call it as a pick-em fight, but I saw the experience of Diaz would make a big difference in this fight. Did you think that as well?
Yeah, I mean, his size coupled with his experience, and I think the thing that Nate had been talking about all week, the high-level boxing that he trains with, high-level jiu-jitsu, he felt that Conor wasn't on his level, and tonight it played out that way in the end.
Ryan, you were at the open workouts. You felt like McGregor had a lot of energy, and you thought that might be an advantage for him going into the fight against Diaz. Was that something that played a part in tonight's fight?
I don't know. You know, at the open workouts, a lot of the energy that everyone might have been feeling could have been just all the hype surrounding the event in general. McGregor did come out. Of course, he was late, but he came out with a lot of energy, stayed longer than any other fighter. I don't really think that had anything to do with the fight, but it definitely had something to do that day with just the energy of everyone at the event.
But here's the thing: a lot of media, including yourself, felt something from that energy, and a lot of people took McGregor to win the fight. You think what was it about McGregor that he put out there that made him the large favorite?
Well, I think he talks the talk, and up until tonight, he was walking the walk. So he had every other opponent he'd faced believing that he was going to win, and that led to the rest of the world really believing that he was going to win. And I think that's what led to the high odds in the favor of McGregor when it came to the sports books, putting Nate at a better than a 4-1 dog coming into tonight.
Now, you said if McGregor did win this fight, it would be via KO in the first round. Nate took some shots. Conor bloodied him up a little bit. Did you think that was coming in the first round?
Yeah, I think everybody thought that might have been coming. McGregor tends to come at his opponents with things they haven't really seen before, things they haven't been able to train against. So that, coupled with the fact that Nate was coming in, like he said, with short notice, hadn't had a chance to spar, it took him a while to get comfortable, and he got tagged a few good times in that first round.
So you thought it was going to be a short night?
Well, I thought it could be if McGregor caught him, but like McGregor said in the press conference, Nate can take his shot, more than one, and kept coming. Stayed focused, didn't panic, and that was the difference.
I think that's something the media got sucked into that McGregor had that knockout power of someone like Nate Diaz, where he'd only been TKO'd by Josh Thompson. Conor McGregor, he's not a boxer. He's a striker, mixed martial artist, but Nate has been in there with boxers. He can take a punch. He's trained with Andre Ward. Right. And for me, the only thing that I thought could make a difference were leg kicks, which it got into the second round, and it looked like McGregor started slowing down a bit.
Definitely. You could tell in the second round that his hands dropped, and Nate tagged him a couple of times, and it almost seemed like he could have been playing like a rope-a-dope, but then as the middle of the second round went on, it became evident that he was really getting tired, and Nate was really starting to be more effective with his strikes.
In the post-fight conference, McGregor said that he was inefficient with his energy and that Nate was efficient. I felt like it was more of being outclassed. Yes, he put on a great first round. I actually had him up 10-9. Nate said that he started out slow, but in the second round, to me, being outclassed means a whole body of work. So a great boxer is able to take some punishment in the first round and come rolling back in the second round, which is what I think that Nate did. Do you agree with that assessment that Nate outclassed McGregor?
Well, I agree. He outclassed him. He beat him. I don't think that it was solely the fact that he was the bigger guy. I think it had, but I do think Nate being much bigger, did have something to do with it. But do I think he's superior? Tonight he was definitely superior, especially in the striking. And then obviously when Conor went in to shoot for some sort of takedown as a last-ditch effort, then Nate did what he had to do and choked him out.
Let's move to the co-main event where UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion Holly Holm was going to defend her title for the first time against Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate, the underdog, came in and shocked the world. She choked out Holly Holm unconscious in the fifth round.
Right.
And it was a round that she really needed because I think she definitely won the second round. But in the fifth round, it became a Holly Holm type fight until she was able to get that submission.
Right. Everybody in the arena knew that Miesha had to come out and stop her in the fifth. But besides that, Miesha really was never hurt in that fight at all. She got tagged a couple of times, but nothing that ever put her in jeopardy. She was just in danger of losing on points, which Holly is known for. So, like she said in the press conference, her corner was honest with her. They said, "Hey, go get it," and she went out and got it done.
Yeah, kudos to Miesha Tate for that. I thought Holm was going to come out and just be able to do a Holly Holm type matchup where she's able to use her size and her distance to stay away. But Miesha Tate went for it. She said even at the risk of being knocked out, that's how bad she wanted this title.
Right.
And it was interesting to know that Holly Holm will not receive a rematch. Ronda Rousey will get Miesha Tate in the trilogy. I feel like Ronda Rousey is a kryptonite for Miesha Tate. Do you think the rubber match, it's not even a rubber match because it's 2-0
Right.
Ronda. Do you think a third matchup will be anything different from what we've seen already?
Well, I think the only major glaring difference to me would be the confidence that she's going to have after coming off of this fight against the person who knocked out Ronda in the second round of their fight. So that alone could be enough to push her over the top and give her a little bit of an edge that she didn't have before.
Now that's to be seen if Ronda Rousey comes back at UFC 200. From what Dana White said was that Ronda Rousey did not watch Holm versus Tate. I repeat, Ronda did not watch Holly Holm versus Miesha Tate. And so when Dana texted Ronda, Ronda said, quote, "I better get back to work," unquote. Now, Dana didn't know if that was getting back to work on a film set or getting back into the gym. But what I'm reading through those few words is that Ronda's ready to come back, and it may be UFC 200, which nothing has been announced quite as of yet.
Right. I mean, she's got two defeats against Miesha, or two wins against Miesha already. What do you think? You think those were words she wanted to hear coming out of this fight? Or do you think she really wanted to face Holm again?
I think Ronda is ready for Miesha Tate. She knows that she can beat her. She's ready beating her. And a win over Tate just propels her and gives her more confidence to go into a rematch with Holly Holm. Let's talk about the rest of the card. I think the Diego Sanchez and Jim Miller, that was one of those pick-up fights where I actually had the nightmare winning that fight. It was a decision win. Right. Diego's always a fan favorite. What do you think about that fight?
Well, one word comes to mind when you talk about Diego Sanchez. It's always pressure. He kept the pressure on. It was a close fight. It was a good fight. But I think in the end, him being in great shape, making weight at 155 where he feels a lot more comfortable was the difference because he was able to keep going and stay strong that entire fight and keep the pressure on Miller the whole time.
I think Ronda really will come back. And I really think that she's going to be on that UFC 200 card. Conor McGregor is making a case for UFC 200. He said, don't rule himself out. He's not hurt. He said, I'm not cut. I'm just heartbroken. And so Conor McGregor Ronda Rousey, and maybe even Nate Diaz, UFC 200 could be something huge. Something that Dana White alluded to was Nate Diaz versus Robbie Lawler for the UFC welterweight title, because he said Nick was the only one to knock out Robbie, and that'd be kind of an interesting matchup. You think Nate should stay a welterweight, or you think he should go down and maybe a rematch with RDA?
Well, I think the Lawler Diaz fight would be definitely a money fight. But he, before this fight, he was ranked fifth in his own division. So personally, I'd like to see him stay in his own division and get that title shot with Dos Anjos.
Rafael Dos Anjos doesn't have that big following like Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler's been around the game and the
True.
sport for a long time. So
Yeah.
maybe we get those three fights at UFC 200.
Yep.
Lawler and Diaz, Rousey and Tate, and McGregor and Aldo. I mean, what can be bigger than that? Well, Brian, this has been a crazy fight week. UFC 196, it's been unprecedented. Something that's never been done before. A champion comes up 2 weight classes to take on someone that's really dangerous. But what's one lasting impression that you could take away from this fight week?
I'd say the underdog always has a chance. You have a 4-1 dog winning with Nate. You have an almost 3-1 dog with Misha winning on the co-main and the main event. That's definitely the headline from today.
Well, from the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, I'm David Cano for Film on TV's MMA Now. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Gustoso Aguardiente Artisanal Rum. Live life with passion. Live life with Gustoso.
MMA Now, powered